Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and look, first off, I want to apologize for the week delay of this review, just between the trip I went on and all the work I've been doing. You know, it hasn't been very reasonable for me to carve out some time and do this review, but I am here today to finally talk to you about this film, so I hope you all will check this review out. And of course, we're talking about Civil War, written and directed by Alex Garland, starring Kirsten Dunst, Wagner and Moura, Cailee Spaeny, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Sonoya Mizuno, Nick Offerman, and Jesse Plemons. And this, of course, is set in the future with this fictitious American Civil War going on, where some states are aligned against the government itself, and there's a bunch of chaos and anarchy taking place all around. And it basically focuses on these photojournalists who are capturing all of this chaos unfolding in front of them, the brutality, anything you can imagine that is being thrown out in the Civil War is being captured on camera by these guys. And it really is about the dynamic of this group of photojournalists that try to make their way to the White House to get an interview with the president. That is essentially the plot of the story. And I will say, you know, first off, I have to mention that I really do love Alex Garland. When you look at films like Ex Machina, which is probably still my favorite of his, or is my new favorite of his, and Annihilation is another absolutely great film. Wasn't huge on Men for many reasons, but I was excited to see what he was going to do with Civil War, because of course this is an A24 production, and this has been bolstered up to like IMAX level type of filmmaking, and you know, the release reflects that. And this is really a big turn from the studio that has been primarily making, you know, much smaller movies on a more conservative budget. But hey, the studio's got to stay afloat somehow, so I believe that this is kind of like their first big risk into this type of filmmaking, and who's to say whether this will continue going forward based on the success of Civil War. But of course, you know, giving Alex Garland free rein is something that I can never really complain about, because he is just such a visionary filmmaker. He has many interesting ideas, and I think what he has to say about the objective truth of photojournalism and all the moral quandaries that go along with taking a job like this, what you need to kind of close yourself off from, what you need to be aware of going into this profession, how to stay safe, what have you, how to stay sane. They really dive into that more than anything in this film, and I really loved his deep exploration of these said ideas, especially with the characters who are played by Kirsten Dunst and Cailee Spaeny. Because Cailee Spaeny kind of plays this newcomer, you know, this budding photojournalist who really looks up to Lee, who is Kirsten Dunst's character. And the relationship they form throughout the entire film is integral to understanding the entirety of this narrative. And I think if their chemistry didn't work, this movie would not work as well. But yet again, Wagner Moura is absolutely incredible in this too. I really think he's a big standout for me. And I love how his character kind of ties into the whole narrative, and of course this dynamic that's going on in this essentially very messed up road trip movie. And of course Stephen McKinley Henderson, you should know that he's great in everything. He really brings a much needed dose of humanity and tenderness to this film that I think really helps balances a lot of the drama and underlying tension that is taking place. And I just gotta say, I mean, there are so many sequences in this that feel like they are Alex Garland's best, especially if you've seen the trailer. The one with Jesse Plemons is easily the best part of the entire film. I was absolutely riveted by that scene and shocked in so many different ways. It is incredibly effective, and it's a brilliant piece of tension that Garland has created in this film. And I could say that about a few other sequences as well, like I had mentioned. I think that from a technical standpoint, this is an insanely impressive movie. The cinematography is absolutely splendid, and I love the way he does these tracks that kind of zoom out it really is impressive how he's able to keep everything like in the frame and keep it very symmetrical with the rest of the border of the screen. Really, really tactful and delectable filmmaking here. And the sound design, I would be shocked if this doesn't get an Oscar nomination for sound. It really is insanely effective. It's definitely some of the most effective sound design I've heard this year, and I think it really does have enough technical proficiency and steam to nab an Oscar nomination come the beginning of next year. Really, really impressed with this from a visual standpoint, like I said. But, despite this, interesting exploration about the ethics of photojournalism, I really do feel that, politically speaking, this movie doesn't have anything to say. Because, look, I don't mind if it didn't take sides on an issue. I just want to understand what's going on in this world, right? Because you get that there's a lot of division and there's a lot of things people are trying to do to survive, and also, how a country functions under a civil war and what would go into that. But you never really get an understanding as to why all of this is going on. What are the dynamics at play with the powers that be? We have no idea. And maybe that was the intention, but considering how disparaged this world is, I really would at least like some explanation as to what the politics are. It doesn't have to take a side. All I'm asking is it explains it, and it doesn't at all. And I feel like in that regard, there isn't a whole lot to chew on besides what I said. And it really makes me wonder, what is this movie trying to say? I think it really does come up short in a lot of ways, especially in the third act, which, many people have been saying is incredibly, incredibly tense. And I wouldn't say it isn't tense at all, but I just think the ultimate conclusion that it leads to is ultimately dissatisfying. And I thought that some of the musical choices throughout this film as well were quite bizarre and oddly placed. And yet again, maybe that was the intention, but I don't think it entirely plays off in the way that perhaps Garland would have wanted it to, at least from my perspective. I know people, who really, really love this movie, like my buddies who went with me. They both loved it. And they're usually the ones who are down on movies, and you know who you are. So for me to be on a trip and happen to catch this one movie with this guy, it's kind of funny that I'm the one that's a bit lower on it. But, here's the thing, it's still a good movie. The filmmaking is just so impeccable that I really can't give this a low score at all. I just think that it could have gone a lot deeper, and I feel it comes up a bit shallow at the end, considering what it could have been. And I was really, really hoping that this would be one of the best Alex Garland films that he's done, amongst the likes of Ex Machina and Annihilation, but unfortunately I can't really entirely say that that is the case. So I'm going to give Civil War a 7 out of 10, a very, very solid recommendation from me, but yet again, really could have been fleshed out in a lot more ways. And I really do hope this is a success at the box office at the very least, because to be getting something as thoughtful as this on such a big budgeted scale is really something that's a lot harder to come by. Of course, Dune Part 2 also fits the bill, but a lot of these movies don't really get made in this fashion. And of course, Dune Part 2 has a big studio backing it. So I really hope, just for A24's sake, that this is a success. Could this be how A24 now puts out movies from now on? I'm sure we're still going to get the wacky and bizarre, smaller, independent movies. But I really do think that this is a new era for the studio, and I think this is going to be a very, very important touchstone in regards to that, even if I don't think the film is quite the best that the studio has ever produced. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you thought about Civil War down in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you agree with me? Do you not? Yet again, let's have an interesting and hopefully constructive conversation about this movie in the comments below. And of course, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're wanting to see more movie reviews like this. There's going to be quite a few coming soon, I think, but it's just going to take me a little while to get them out considering how busy my schedule has been as of late. But I assure you, if you have the patience and are willing to wait, I will try my very best to deliver. So yeah guys, until the next movie review or video, I will see you guys soon.